Okay, my story starts in 2010. I had two children at the time. Um, I still do. Um, the oldest was 8, and the youngest was had just turned 1. And it was the Thanksgiving week weekend. Um, I was off for a couple of days for the holiday from my job, and I had been having some issues with um, walking, kind of. Yeah, and I was using a cane because it was, I don't know, it was bothering me a lot. But the closer I got to um, Thanksgiving the weekend, it just got worse. So I managed to get an appointment with my doctor to come in. It was like Friday after Thanksgiving. It's always on a Thursday. And I got a full checkup, and they did uh, an X-ray to check my leg, and they couldn't find anything. So they said you need to get an MRI so we can see what's going on in your brain. Um, and because it's the holiday weekend, you probably won't get in anytime soon at the imaging center. So it's the best bet is to just go to the ER and wait to get an MRI. So that's what I did. My husband took me and my 2 kids, and we went. And my youngest, my son, he was in a stroller at the time. He had just learned to walk, um, but we still had him in the stroller while we were in the hospital waiting room. And after like 2 hours of waiting, I told my husband to just take the kids and go home, and I will call you as soon as I know anything. Because we had a dog at home that we'd only had for like a week. So she'd probably made a mess, and the kids needed to be fed, and you know, so took the kids, and he went home to deal with all that. And I finally, after waiting like 3 hours, I think I finally got in for an MRI. And once they finally read it, um, the doctor came in and talked to me. And after he said, "We have found multiple sclerosis on your brain," I just kind of don't remember a whole lot after that. It just, my mind started processing that a little bit, I guess. My immediate thought was there was a woman at my job who had just committed suicide who had MS. And that was where my brain went, was to that. And also, she was, the disease kind of made her cranky, let's say. So my that was my immediate thought. And then it went to all the like celebrities I've heard of who had MS, who had bad outcomes, like Richard Pryor. I think it was the little one. Whoever was Lenny or Squiggy, I think it was Squiggy was the little one. Whoever played him, he had it too. And Annette Funicello, that's from, really, you probably don't know who that is. Unless you're around my age, you might know who it is. She had it and had a pretty bad outcome. And then I also thought of Montel Williams, who's doing great. You can't really tell by looking at him that he's got MS. So my brain was all over the place. But I did call my husband and let him know what was going on, and I said, "I need you here. I'm having a lot of trouble dealing with this." Um, so he called my sister, and she watched the kids while He came down, and what they did, see, what happened was I basically had a what they call like a flare up, where all these symptoms just came together at once, and that's what was going on. And in order to get me back down to a semi normal level of where I was, I had to come in. I had to get 3 high doses of, I think it was prednisone. Yeah. Um, for over the next 3 days. So while I was there, I got the first dose, and I think it was like a hooked me up to an IV, if I remember correctly. And then I had to be brought in for the next couple of days to get the rest of it. Um, and of course, I was supposed to go see a neurologist and all this. And so that was just interesting. First of all, I had to. I'm not used to asking for help. And I'm used to taking care of everybody else and not being the one to have people take care of me. So that on itself, on a mental level, was just difficult to deal with. I had to get my mother-in-law to basically take the kids, or take my son during the day. My daughter, my firstborn, was going to school, like second grade. I think she was in second grade then. I forgot. Um, and she could help me with the son, with her brother for a while, a little bit, like she would pick him up and put him on the changing table because he had just started walking, but he couldn't be crawling up on the changing table, and I couldn't lift him while I was like that, so she had to pick him up and put on the changing table for me. Um, so my mother-in-law would take him during the day while she was at school, and I had to do that for a while until I got really decent enough to do function. So there was that. Um, I did get in to see a neurologist, but it was not cheap. I did have insurance at the time through my job, but that didn't last long because I had to quit. I could not function enough to go into work. So I ended up having to quit. Um, and it wasn't like I could give 2 weeks notice or anything because it was just, it was bad. It's like, yeah. So there's that. The neurologist was not, I didn't really click with them very well, so I never went back to her. Um, she just had a horrible bedside manner, and it's like, okay, here's your different medication options. And it was like a pill, or I think there was a pill and there was a shot, but um, at least one of them, if not both of them, I think the pill, maybe, I don't remember. If you ever had depression or prone to depression, you can't take this. And the other one was like $1,000 a month or something. It's like, well, once insurance is gone, I'm not going to be able to take care of that. And I was not on my husband's insurance, and it's too expensive to put me on his insurance. So, yeah. Um, oh, and that's another thing. I was the one that stayed home with the kids because my husband made more money at his job than I did, so it was best to let him keep the full-time job, and me, I went down to part-time. Yeah, I went down to part-time, and then eventually, and then after this MS thing, I had to just quit altogether. Um, I don't know. It's been interesting. I started researching MS and stuff because I just, every time I've had, it's like that's just my thing is to read books, try and research and figure stuff out. So that's what I started to do. And I must say, I didn't get that far in it. I just read one book and learned about this medicine, naltrexone. They call it low dose naltrexone because you have to take a low dose of it for the MS. It is the drug that you are on when you're trying to come off of narcotics, I believe. Um, but that's when you're using it for that, then it's like 50 milligrams or more. Um, this for using it for MS, it tends to be under 10 milligrams. I started using that. After some struggle, I managed to find a doctor who would prescribe it to me so I could try it. And I've been on that ever since, and it seems to have helped. It hasn't stopped the MS, but it certainly did slow the progression down. So I've been using that. I'm still using that. I just recently got put on insurance again. My husband got a different job and he was able to put me on the insurance, so we'll see how that goes. I'll eventually get around to seeing a neurologist and see what they say and all that. So I've spent the last what 13 years having to find different ways to do things and learning to ask for help. Like I can still do the dishes and the laundry, but when I'm doing the dishes, I can't stand at the sink the whole time doing it. I have to be sitting to do. I sit as much as I can to stand when I have to. And the laundry, um, I need to be like sitting on the bed or the couch or something to fold it and then put it back in the basket and then take it. And I don't even pick it up and carry the basket. I kick it with my good foot because the MS seems to affect the left side of my body more than the right. Like I kind of have that drop down foot thing going on with the left leg, left foot. Um, so I end up dragging my foot a lot, and I have less strength in my left hand, which sucks because I'm left-handed. I am not at all ambidextrous. I've tried to learn to write with my right hand. It's not working. Um, so you just have to find I've just found little ways that I can do stuff, adjust how I do, and I always have to make sure I add way more time than I need um, to get places. Because when I leave the house, I have to use a walker to get to the vehicle. Um, when I'm in the house, I can use my cane, and I've gone from different canes. Now I'm using the kind with the four prongs because that's more stable. Because that's my main thing is I have really no balance. I mean, I can stay balanced for maybe 3 seconds if I'm lucky, without assistance. But in the house, I can use the cane and like be touching a wall or whatever's near me with the other hand to keep myself steady. But when I leave the house to go to the vehicle or anything, I need the walker. And if I'm going someplace where I'm going to be um, doing a lot of walking, then I have to have a wheelchair or one of those motorized things. Because otherwise it'd take forever. And also, I no longer have enough energy to go that long. So there's that. and I've been trying to figure out ways to. I've been trying to figure out some kind of online job or something I can do so that I can still be contributing money to the household. That's been a whole adventure. What else? Um, Also, um, I'm a practicing witch, and if anyone is seeing this and that is something that offends you, go away then. Don't watch anymore, I suppose. I'm not going to be, I mean, I may end up mentioning that or something, but just so you know, there's that. That's it for now. Thank you for listening. I just wanted to start documenting my journey and myself and all that. Anyway, thank you. That's it for now.